Is that the mentality is fear. Once the coppers are working their way through with fear, people go back into the middle of the flock. And from the back they start, bah, bah, oh it's bad, the wolves are around, let's scatter. And the first thing that wolves do is go round and round and round and pick off people. And then they scatter, all the sheep and the herd scatter. So once they scatter, they're vulnerable. If you all stick together and you all stay together, you're not vulnerable. And if you all keep going in the same direction, not as sheep but as wolves. I am not a sheep, I am a wolf. As I often say in the past. Are we men or are we sheep? No, we are wolves! And you must stand up for yourself and you must stand up for your rights. You have to go and write letters off to politicians, you have to go and send emails off to the press and keep doing it and keep doing it and keep doing it. Send it off to your friends and tell them to do it, and then you keep on doing it and doing it and doing it. And if that doesn't work, you then go and stand out the front of the politician's office holding up a banner saying they don't believe in human rights and they won't protect me. You know, this cape of the bullshit the coppers have been doing is crap. You being held for 11 hours without charge, totally illegal. Out there though. And who stood up for you? There are no politicians, no one's come out of the woodwork, the press is silent. I'm fed up with it. That's why, you know, I'm half a mind to stand there tomorrow when Koshy's coming across the bloody cross and grab him by his shirt front and say, oi, you, are you a fascist or are you believe in democracy? You know,
the guy on the morning show who wears a shitload of foundation and tries to sell shit in the infomercial bits.
Yeah.
He came while the cops were raiding today. He came, picked the youngest, most vulnerable looking member of Occupy and went and picked on her.
So? Turn around and say, fucker off, son.
Oh, that's what I fucking did. But it was...
Who are you?
It's just...
Bloody mercenary for the capitalists, are you?
I hope there's some footage of it so that we can show him being a bully and not being an objective part of the media and all of that sort of shit, because...
No, they've been told by the powers to be that we're to be delegated, we're not to have anything to do with us worldwide.
Yeah.
You haven't heard that 2,400 people, well, cities were occupied. And it goes for anything from a crowd as small as us up to 20, 30,000. They arrested you never heard anything about Oakland when they arrested 20,000 people were there, and they arrested, sorry, it wasn't 20,000 they arrested. They arrested 300. They found 100 of them in tiger cages, out in paddocks, FEMA paddocks. But you know, amongst us as a group.
In Oakland, people were tortured, tear gas was put in their cells, they were forced to defecate and urinate and vomit on themselves, they were denied medication. This is a bunch of protesters from Oakland. They were just chucked in jail and fucking tortured. This is the world we live in now. Huh?
They've been denied their human rights, and one thing I will not tolerate, and that's my human rights being crushed. I'll use every avenue possible. Under the UN Charter I have the right to rebel at the end of it. But until such point I can demonstrate. But if they don't want me to demonstrate and they keep on suppressing me, then I can rebel. And I don't want to do that because I'm peaceful. I've had a gutful. And I just wish the bloody people online would start using the tool that's in front of them. Send out emails.
I wish they would get off their bloody computer and come down here and
they don't have to get off the computer. We can do that. We can stay here. The people who have got the balls to do it can do it.
But the problem with the people who are typing on their computers is that they don't actually understand what's going on down here. They're not taking part in the conversation. Yeah, but they're not taking part in the conversation. So they're going, oh, all you're doing is getting arrested. That's boring. Blah blah blah. You know, just stop occupying, and we'll do stuff away from Occupy.
One by one, they'll come round and visit us, and then they'll go and hack into our computers, and they'll find everything about us, then you'll get denied employment, and then you'll have all the other things that happen on the side because you're not part of a movement, you're just an individual who are easy to be picked off. That's what ends up happening.
Yeah.
And if you go that round, and it's called slack division. That's what it's really called. Sign online petitions, and when you do an online petition, yeah, okay, you're doing something. Oh, well, I signed a petition online. You're doing bugger all. What you should be doing is sending out the message, sending it out worldwide, sending it across borders. Same as the Egyptians did. I went and worked the day shift basically. When America went to bed, I got up and I was online. When I went to bed, England got up, Germany got up, all these other countries around the world, one by one, we shifted around, and their message was going 24/7 all the time. The same with Libya, except Libya got perverted because the Americans, dark, bloody bastard, friggin' spooks got involved, and they buggered it up. It was great because all these things were happening around the world that people were sharing and caring. You know, we got bloody medicine into Miserata, we got ammunition into them. You know, what are you doing, Glenn? You're online all the time, you're doing nothing really. Well, no, I'm shifting the message and putting it to people who should be caring, people who should be doing things. The UN, all those people. You go and write to them, you email them, you bombard them. You get onto places like ASVAC, who is an online petition. But at least they got 1 million members. And when they get a petition with 1 million bloody things on it, they take notice. Get up. That's just a bloody slacko mob as far as I'm concerned.
Well, I think online activism is great. And I think online involvement in Occupy and everything is great. As long as people who don't actually come down here don't make up what's happening down here, you know?
Well, at the end of the day, a lot of people don't know how to interact with the public. That's why they're online. They're in their own little core group. They don't know how to interact with the public. They don't know how, they haven't got a right idea about their message. You know, and there's other people who work and they're busy. But what they can do is send out emails. They can write letters. They can get onto the press. They can make phone calls. We got a bloke out of jail held by Hamas. You ever heard of Gaza Youth? Their motto is, fuck Hamas, fuck Fatah, fuck Israel. We want to live in peace. We want life. Hamas stops them playing rock and roll music. Fatah goes and bashes up their people because they happen to live in the wrong place. The Israelis kick the shit out of them just for being Palestinians. They just want to go out there and enjoy themselves. They can't even have a bloody beer without the door being kicked in and them getting a hard time. They went and put on a concert, you know, in a cafe. So they all got arrested and carted off and beaten up by Hamas. And it's like, no. So they sent a message out. We made phone calls. Apparently they crashed the computers, they crashed the bloody fax machine, they ran out of paper on the fax machine. They sent out a message saying, please don't send any more faxes. They ran out of bloody phone capacity. The phone lines crashed. Not because of the Israelis, but because worldwide people just phoned them up and said, get them out of there. What the hell do you think you're doing with those boys? They've done nothing wrong. They're just trying to be youth and trying to enjoy themselves. Now, back off. And Hamas has changed their policy. They decided they better let them have a bit of fun. They arrested people sitting down next to a girl in a cafe. Scares me what? What, he can't talk to a girl? What's wrong with that? You know, as bad as the Israelis. Same with Fatah. Fatah is going around bloody sticking people for money all the time, taxing them. They have to pay 3 lots of taxes to 3 different lots of people. Bugger them. I'll support them, I'll help them. You know, you can spend 20 bucks on a phone call. I'm a pensioner for fuck's sake. You know, and there you got these people sitting there in front of their computers doing fuck all. Oh, it's too hard. Oh, let's go away. You know, they can come down here for a night. They don't have to stay all the time. I sat up there for 3 months in the bloody rain while they all slept in the railway. What was the point of that? Why did you come here if you're just going to go to sleep in a railway? You know, that was fine. I didn't mind sitting up there. I'm holding the fort. The coppers come around, I tell them to bugger off. You know, but this point now, the coppers are at us all the time, every time. Fine. Roll up the banner, walk off down the bloody road, roll it out down the road. You know, go down Pitt Street Mall where there's lots of cameras where everyone can record and see what they're really doing to us. And then demand that the bloody press do something about it. Demand that the bloody politicians do something about it. Don't just accept the status quo. Because if you accept the status quo, it just continues to slide and slide until, oh well, I suppose we better go and get our tattoo. They've told us we have to get a barcode on our forehead, so we better. I don't really want to, but you know, I'm told I won't get a job unless I do. You know, give me a break. No, I won't have my human rights crushed, Lil. I won't. And I refuse to, and I hope you're going to sue the socks off the bastards. You know, we've got all these bloody barristers that keep on coming up to us and saying, oh, it's terrible, you know, we'll give you some legal advice. We've got to start saying, well, that's fine giving us legal advice, but we really need you to come and stand up in court and help us, because we can't do it because we haven't got the resources. You know, it's bullshit. Just to say, oh, well, it's too hard, well, you know, we'll just fold up the tent and go home because the nasty man came round and told us to fuck off. We've had it before. We've had it before. You go, you get fucked, you piss off. Oh, you know, you want to lay one on me? Fine. Then I'll have an excuse to lay one back. But I'm peaceful. I'm not going to do it. You know, I've been there, I've done that. I've stood toe to toe. Over and over again with bullies in every sort of variety. Christ's sake, in the funny farm there was enough bullies. And I sorted those bastards out. Just told Amnesty International I'm not having anything to do with them because all they're interested in is money. If they can't defend human rights in Australia, then what's the point of having you? Oh, well, you're not really getting shot or, you know, tortured. Oh no, not yet. But we can nip it in the bud before it gets there. We can stop it now, but they just want to keep it going, you know. Because it's the same with the homeless, billion-dollar industry. They don't want to cure homelessness. No, they just come weekends, they go home. The homeless doesn't eat on weekends.
Australia relies on service industries. So of course they want people to stay disempowered. Of course they want people to be existing at a level where they're barely surviving. That's what homelessness services do. They make people exist at that level where they're just managing to survive, and they're relying on all of these different services that they have to go to appointments with every day of the fucking week just to survive.
And they're getting 50, well, let's see, when I went for a job with Sydney City Mission, who didn't employ me because I wasn't a Christian, the average wage then for a builder's labourer was $600 a week, and they were getting $750, and it was just a street cleaning exercise. Get rid of the drunks off the street. They weren't homeless, they were drunks. Alcoholics, that's what they're picking up. But hey, years of experience looking after people. Well, they employ big bloody Maori who happens to be a Christian because he attends church and he's got his letter from his reverend. You know, give me a break. How much does the head of the bloody thing get paid? If you go around to all these charitable organisations, the directors are on over $500,000 a year. You know, oh yeah, but I have to have that to do the work. No, you don't. This craps me. It really does.
If you look at what's happening with all of those charities and stuff, it's kind of like the monopoly with Coles and Woolworths in the supermarket industry, except it's in the charity industry. All of the big NGOs are swallowing up all of the little NGOs, so that there's no room for anything different or anything innovative or anything that might actually change something or help someone.
What they keep
because
on
there's
doing,
huge monopolies.
What they keep on doing is hiring consultants. Consultants then go and steal or buy or purchase or the copyright on American studies. In public housing, 30% in each suburb comes out of the Boston brownstones, and all public-private comes out of it. And then you've got the Katrina, where they go and boot all the public housing tenants out of perfectly good housing, and then demolish their building and use FEMA to replace it. Down in Bay Street, God love her, Clover Moore gives the land, which happens to be over the swampland, to them because the buildings are falling apart because they've got subsidence. Well, now they demolished the buildings, cleaned all the rocks off. Guess what? They're sitting on top of sandstone. There's no way they subsided. But you know, oh well, we're going to build more of them. Yeah, right. Since last year, we've got 1,800 less housing units in New South Wales. Less. The year before was 1,000 as well. So it's nearly 3,000 housing units have disappeared off the bloody books. Why? Because they've been given, not sold, given to private enterprise. They then go and build a block of units, and then give all the ones that are facing the wrong way, are really hard to sell. That's the one they house people in. The one they're building down Bay Street, the rooms are 2 metres by bloody 1.5 metres wide. And they've got a kitchen, which you call a kitchenette anywhere else, and a bathroom. Where are they going to store their stuff? Oh, you shouldn't have stuff if you live in public housing. At least you've got a roof over your head. You know, bullshit. It's just, I was so angry. My grandparents...
Housing isn't actually affordable. Like, if you're on youth allowance, for example, you can't afford to live in affordable housing. So where do you go? You've got to go and live in a freaking youth service where every aspect of your life is controlled and approved of or disapproved of, and you've got to comply with the rules or you get kicked out onto the streets.
Youth services sold off all the houses they had. They had a whole stack of hostels, they had a whole stack of houses. They liquidated the assets, then turned it over to private enterprise. What happened to all those assets? What happened to all the money? Oh, that went in the superannuation for the workers because they hadn't been paying their super. You know, and it goes on and on and on. And basically what it is stripping out public assets and handing them over to private enterprise. And if you want to find out about it, you go online, you go to Papua New Guinean government, who's the only government in the world that's had the balls to print the IMF's conditions, which is privatise everything, including schools, hospitals, everything's privatised, even though it's totally against the grain of Australia. After World War II, they insisted that these things were done. My grandfather and my old man and his grandfather's brother, they helped build Hornsby Hospital. They actually physically went and carted timber there, gave it to them for nothing. Years later, it was a community-based hospital, it was a community-run hospital, by the community, for the community. They had a great idea, we'll get you more finance if you hand it over to the state government. They got handed over to the state government, and now they want to go and have half the hospital as private. The same with bloody Royal North Shore. North Shore Hospital was the same. You know, that was built by the community for the community, and now it's 50-50. They use the resources of the hospital, the pathology, the x-ray, the CAT scanners, everything else, and they got their private hospital which they charge people extra for using those facilities. Rip-off. The whole thing's a rip-off.
The free market will not provide, the free market will just steal everything.
Well, the free market's about ready to crash. We've seen it. The free market's just about to go into free fall. And, you know, everyone's ignoring it. It's like, oh, well, you know, it'll be all right, we'll muddle on and we'll fix it. Well...
You've got to be confident, but you've got to make sure that consumer confidence
you've got to
is
get consumer confidence up. Buy useless things for, you know, not worth two bob. At least it's giving people in the third world a job. You know, we've got so much, you don't have to buy it, you just go around to rubbish chuck-outs and you can furnish a bloody complete house out of them.
Yeah.
I've got a mob at the moment called Piedmont Care. For years I've been saying, you know, we have to get in those basements and get that stuff for the homeless. And, you know, the people who are being moved into public housing, because they move in with nothing. They've got a mattress on the floor and newspaper over the windows. But Why can't they just take all that stuff? Well, the message got through after 3 or 4 years. The corporate bodies got together. They talked to each other. Good idea. It'll save money on rubbish chuck out. You know, instead of paying someone to cart it away, then they can give it away. And they'll get brownie points for it, which is real good. And it's a really good idea. Yeah, I give them credit for it. You know, they're going to furnish people's houses for it out of stuff which you and I call luxury items. And it's bloody ridiculous. You got people who throw things out after 3 months because if you haven't used it for 3 months, you've got to throw it out. You know, it's only cluttering up the place. Go to Balmain sometime and we'll go to Northbridge. Mossman, yeah, go around there and you can furnish a house. You can get a whole new cutlery set, minus a knife or a fork here and there, but you know. Oh no, we decided we wanted to update, so we chucked it out. Fine. How about chucking it towards people who need it? I've seen them just totally demolish perfectly usable, good luxury items, crush them in the back of the truck. There's people out in the western suburbs who are living with newspaper over their windows, because 78% of the average, according to the Bureau of Statistics, the average Australian household on a mortgage is paying 78% of their income on mortgages. That's average. So there's people who aren't paying that much, and there's people who are paying 120% of their... and now we're getting all these people turfed out because they've been overextended. They're maxed out the credit cards. You got an idiot like one I got near me. She was $1,000 in debt, couldn't pay it, so she went to the bank to try and work it out, and they extended the credit to $3,000. She couldn't pay that, so they extended to $6,000 now. So every cent she earns, she goes and pays it, and then she gets money out to buy her food. And half the time it's like, oh, well, I haven't got any food this week. And it's like, oh, yeah, haven't you? Well, I've got a fridge full. I've got a cupboard full. Because I buy it on special, I freeze it, I store it. And half the time I give it away to other people because I've got too much of it. Because I budget and I manage well. You know, it's just an out of kilter world at the moment. Totally out of kilter. And these palookas come around here, oh, I'm a tough copper. Oh, yeah, you blokes to bloody move on. Ha 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 ha. Yeah, well, wait till their son and daughter wait till their bloody wife gets booted out of the job. You know. Oh yeah, we got 2 incomes, we make, 100,000 a year plus, so we're not worried. Yeah, well you will be when the bloody riots start, when all the other shit that social dislocation causes. Watch the program tonight in America. There's a whole street full of houses that are empty. People got thrown out of them. Now they're selling them for $5,000. Well, why didn't they drop the bloody charges instead of bankrupting the poor bastards? Why don't they drop their mortgage payment where they could pay it, and then they could still have a roof over their head? Over bloody close on 250,000 people every night in America are living in tent cities, and they've got a job. They've got a bloody job to go to. Ridiculous. No, we're all right in this country. Yeah, it's just, if you can't pay your way, well, you mustn't be doing things right. Bloody ridiculous. Yes. Well, that's my diatribe.